welcome to the Disneyville podcast, episode 9.
I'm glad you're keeping track of the numbers, because if I had to guess, I'd be like episode 6. I don't know.
I only know because I have my note in front of me.
Well, I do too, but I just didn't think. Anyway.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Tyler.
Nice to meet me.
Date Mike. Nice to meet me. We are Tyler and Jessica. We have an Instagram for this podcast, by the way. It is at Disneyville Podcast. So if you want to see, sometimes we'll post a little behind the scenes, but we most importantly, I should say, ask you guys for stories, answer our questions. What questions do you have? And a lot of times we'll share that here on the podcast. So if you are interested in kind of being a part of the show, that's where to do it.
Yeah. And so like at the end of the episode today, we're going to talk about your stories and your questions and things like that. And we always put it up on here too. So if you want to be featured on the podcast, if you watch the video version, at least you'll see right around in here, you'll see.
Yeah, but if you're listening, you'll hear. Oh, you'll hear. Anyway, so today's topic is a really exciting one. If you've been following along, the last episode, we went through the Disney World moderate resorts and talked through every single one. It was a doozy of an episode.
I think it was like an hour and 20 minutes it ended up being. It was a long
It was
one.
like the epitome of a doozy. But before that, we did Walt Disney World's value resorts. So we went through each one. So if you're interested in those episodes, definitely go back and give it a listen, because we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in that. But really.
So we today are going to talk about Deluxe Resorts Part 1, because it's a lot to try and do in one episode. So we're splitting it up, and actually it's not super even the way we're splitting it up, but just in our heads this way made the most sense. So we're doing the Magic Kingdom area resort hotels in this episode. So we're talking Grand Floridian, we're talking Contempt, we're talking Poly, we're talking Wildy.
Oh, I didn't know what you'd do for that. Wildy Lodgy.
Until it came out of my mouth. I didn't know where I was going with that.
Our daughter Genevieve now calls honey mustard honey musty, because I always jokingly call it that, and I think she thinks it's really called that, and I am not correcting her yet because it's funny.
It's one of those funny things in school that she's going to be, can I have some honey musty? Teachers, what?
Oh, whatever. Her teacher would love it.
Love it. Okay.
Honey musty.
But that leaves for our next episode. So that's 4 for today. But for the next episode, we're going to have to try and tackle Animal Kingdom Lodge, Beach Club, Boardwalk, Old Key West, Riviera, Saratoga Springs, and Yacht Club, assuming I didn't miss any in my list.
Oh my gosh.
So strap in for a 3-hour episode next.
No, we can do it. But that one is going to be really fun. But I was very excited about this one, as usual. I know you were too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at your shirt. Can we talk about your shirt?
I thought you would never ask.
It's so awesome.
So we just got off of a Disney Wish cruise, and it was a blast. Those vlogs are about to start going live, but I got this on Castaway Key. And if you are watching, you can see it's got Castaway Key on it. It's like a button
Scuttles, Pelican Plunge.
It's got, what else is there?
Conked Out, the bar, one of the bars there. So it's literally all of the different areas of Castaway Key. It's so cute. And clearly we haven't watched it because there are the folding lines.
I was literally just popping tags and came over here.
Popping bottles.
I'm going to pop some tags.
But another shameless little plug here. If you do want to watch those vlogs, they'll be on Tyler's channel. So if you search his name, Tyler Braun, you will find them. But also, I'm just now remembering, we put them on our Disneyville podcast YouTube. In a playlist, right?
Yeah, so if they're on my channel, the Walt Disney World, Disneyland, and Disney Cruise ones will also show up on the Disneyville podcast as well, because I shared the playlist.
But you have to go to the actual page to see it. Like if you're subscribed to Disneyville podcast, it's not going to pop up in your subscription feed.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm the YouTube liaison. I've been doing this for far too long.
Certainly know a heck of a lot more than I do.
I don't know about that.
Okay, so we're going to try and be a little bit more streamlined today, because we tend to talk a lot, which I guess it's good if you're hosting a podcast, but here we go. Okay, so we're not going to go into all the same things we did last time, but just suffice it to say, when you're looking at deluxe versus like moderates and values, it's a huge jump to get to the deluxe resorts. Like we
price wise, but also amenity.
Exactly.
Wise.
So main differences, they're going to have typically, I mean, this is a big typically, a smaller footprint, so it's easier to get around. You're not going to be walking a mile to get to your room. They're going to have interior hallways, so if that's something big to you, it's more like a classic hotel where you're going to be in the main lobby, you're going to go in, you're going to have interiar doors. So that's
again, typically. There's a few that aren't, but
yeah, an extra sense of security there. You get larger rooms. Did I already say that?
I don't think so.
What else? More restaurants, better restaurants.
I mean, really, the more restaurants is key. And the ones we're talking about today are, well, at least 3 of them are within walking distance of each other. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a cool thing. When you're staying at one, you can walk to another and go try restaurants there for breakfast or dinner or whatever. That's a huge difference. And just the sheer number of places to eat just in your resort alone.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. And so many times we'll stay at one and we'll end up eating at all 3 because we'll just walk over in the morning. It's pretty amazing. And the biggest thing I think is location. Like anything in any good real estate, location. Because with the resort loop, which is the main area we're talking about today, which is the loop that links Magic Kingdom to these 3 resorts and the Transportation and Ticket Center, the TTC, they are all, you can walk to Magic Kingdom. So obviously they are close. Well, now you can, now that the Grand Floridian has its own walkway there.
Yeah.
But they are 1, 2, 3 monorail stops away from the Magic Kingdom, and then if you're going back, it's 1, 2, 3 stops away. It is so close.
But also, it's a monorail ride away from Epcot.
And we would be at our like in a room at Grand Floridian and be like, hey, do you want to hop over to Magic Kingdom? And we could be there in 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. When you roll the stroller
and all,
on,
baby.
So that's the biggest thing when it comes to, and then when it comes to the other ones, they're walking distance to Epcot or something like that. So that's the biggest difference to me when it comes to the deluxe resorts.
Like when we're grappling between like where we want to stay for a trip and we're like, oh, well, obviously it's way more expensive at a deluxe, but we're always weighing that, you know, it's just so much more convenient. You're getting more time in the parks if you want it. You're getting, I mean, there's a lot to it, but then I say that and it's like, well, but if you're going to spend a lot of time in your room, then maybe you do want deluxe because it's a night, you know, so it's just one of those things. That's why when there are like weirdly good deals on deluxe rooms, it's so exciting because you know.
And especially for us right now in the season of life that we're in, where we have 2 young kids, we're always bringing a stroller. So to be able, at the end of the night, you see that monorail line outside of Magic Kingdom, and you're like, oh man, that's going to be a long wait, even on the monorail. The fact that we can just walk over to Grand Floridian or walk to Contemporary and bypass all those crowds is huge. Like especially if the girls are asleep that late in the evening, just walking back to our room.
Keep on sleeping.
Yeah. And it's a pleasant walk. So there is definitely something to that. Shall we do our mug shots?
Yes, we shall.
After you.
Have one that I bought a few years ago. I want to say I still randomly will see it in store there. But it's one that's a Mary Poppins one. So it's cream colored. And there's like the little bird staff umbrella thing that she always has as the handle. And then all around it, it just looks very Grand Floridian to me because of the design. It's, how would you even describe that to someone that's
I was
going
to ask, did you buy it at the Grand Floridian?
I don't know. I probably not, I would guess, but it definitely has the vibes, but it was available like everywhere when it was available. So there was, you know, but yeah, there's little Mary Poppins motifs on there. And it's so pretty. It's like a classy little mug.
Yeah,
it makes me happy.
It really is. And
it's a little awkward to hold, but you know, you get past it.
If you didn't know that it was like a Disney mug, you might not even notice it.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
So I got a Disney Wish mug on our recent cruise. And it says Disney Wish on it. It's blue and teal and all that kind of stuff. And it's got Captain Mickey on it. It's got, I'm turning around here, it's got some anchors. It's got Captain Minnie on it, which I love. But it says inaugural sailings on the inside. And so I'm like, I guess it's still within like the first year, maybe the first year they consider inaugural sailings.
Well, and they might be at the point where they're like, we just need to sell all of this, so just keep it out until it's gone, baby. Yeah. I bought a shirt that also said inaugural sailings.
Obviously, it wasn't the inaugural sailing, but I guess that's the inaugural sailings.
Again, I'm sure they just want to get rid of this.
Anyway, I bought it.
Either way, it's super cool. Yeah. It's super cool. We both ended up buying a mug on that one. Hey, let us know, would you want to see a Disney Wish, like all about the Disney Wish, plus our experience, our recommendations, etc., in a future episode? Let us know, because once we finish these deluxe, that could be a great one.
Well, and I'm also thinking about
the newest ship.
Doing on my channel, a lot of times I'll do like a cruise ship tour and overview. I have a bunch of Norwegian cruise ships. I don't think I've done any Disney ships, but I could do something like that on my channel too. So we could do a podcast and a video as well. Just all about the Wish.
So much. It was very cool. In case you were curious, it was totally awesome, but we'll talk more about that another day. All right. So starting up, let's start with Disney's Contemporary Resort.
Okay, so I'm leaving.
Let me get in the
Magic Kingdom
mindset.
Okay, all right.
Can you
smell it? Are we
smell
getting
it?
on the monorail or are we walking?
We're walking today. Let's walk over there.
Walk over there. So we're gonna go around that sidewalk over there.
I don't know why I'm on a horse. Trying to do like a radio play, Yeah, that was the vibe.
Okay. So the contemporary, some overall things. Opening day resort. There's so many
I know,
fun
I can't not
stories
smile
about the contemporary that I just love. So for those that don't know, it's basically this huge A-frame tower. Then they have the garden wing rooms on the outside. So there's a few smaller buildings around the outside. If you ever take the boat like from Magic Kingdom or anywhere to go over to Wilderness Lodge or Fort Wilderness, you see the smaller buildings on the side there. So that's the garden wing is what they call that. But for the most part, we'll talk about the main tower there. Opening day resort. One of my favorite stories is like the night before Magic Kingdom opened. All these press and all these people are about to come in for this huge celebration, and they're out there laying sod the night before. And I'm pretty sure it was Dick Nunes who was I think he was the president of or maybe the CEO at the time. Maybe it wasn't him. It doesn't matter. One of them was yelling, green side up, because they're just trying to get this done at like 2:00 in the morning. Just get it done. They had all these people volunteer to help that weren't actual landscapers. They're just like, just put it down, green side up.
Can't screw it up. Just get the right side up. Your mom, you have a funny story about your mom as a kid, right? Staying there.
Yeah, I think she was maybe in her teens. It was 1974, 1975.
So we're talking
like that.
A year or two after, or a couple years after Disney opened.
And she stayed there with my aunt, so her sister and nephew and her parents. And apparently she was telling me that it was around $75 a night, and her dad could not believe how expensive this hotel was. And nowadays, comparing to what the prices are now, like $75 a night in the 70s was just astronomical. Her dad could not believe they were spending so much on a hotel.
That's how we all feel now about the prices now. But
So,
I thought, didn't she? Maybe we can save it for a contemporary specific episode. But the one where they like got locked out of the room, you remember that?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I forgot.
That's what I was
that.
thinking. Well,
yeah,
another day.
Yeah. So we were talking about, as we were writing down our notes for this episode, we've got to do episodes devoted to some of these resorts because there's so many amazing stories, so much history, so many things that we could really delve into.
And we've read especially you, but we've read a lot of books about the history of specific things like this. So that, again, future times, because there's so many other history things I know we want to dive into, but yeah.
Where do you start?
We got all our lives, baby.
We're going to need to get up to one a week is what we need to do.
Oh, one day.
Eventually.
We can dream.
Okay, so let's kind of do a little audio tour.
Okay.
So we're
do
starting
you need my horse clomping?
All right, tie it up outside there. Okay, so you walk in. So say we're walking from the Magic Kingdom like we just were. You're going to walk into the first floor. That's where the check-in desk is going to be. That's where they have a little coffee shop there.
It's kind of unassuming when you walk in on that level. You're like, oh, wait, what?
But they did just renovate it. And
it's nice.
But they added a lot of photos that are like historical photos, and I think that was such a smart idea. It makes it seem so much more nostalgic when you walk in. So it still has that sort of contemporary style to it, but it's more about the nostalgia of the actual resort now, and they've got all these cool photos of Walt Disney World itself being built, and it's cool. So that's where the check-in desk is. That's where the entrance to Steakhouse 71 is. You can walk out the back there to go to the pool area. A lot of times we'll just walk over there and just walk out to that little courtyard there. They've got that metal Mickey that I have pictures from like all these different years of my family.
Over the years, yeah.
But then from there, you can take the escalators up to the second and third floors, or maybe it's just the third floor.
Well, either way, you go up, and
that's where the convention center is, or part of the convention center. And one of my favorite stories about the.
I do know it.
So for those that don't know, if you've watched our vlogs, I'm sure this is.
I think he tells it every time we're in there. It is a pretty cool story.
Yeah, these are repeat stories, so I'll try and keep it brief. But I think it's called the Ballroom of the Americas. That's where Mr. Richard Milhouse Nixon gave his very famous "I am not a crook" speech. It was at the Contemporary Resort.
Isn't that weird?
In that the ballroom there, you can walk up. We've kind of looked in. The doors have never been open when we were there, but you can kind of see in. And
probably haunted.
Yeah.
The ghost of speeches past.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, how cool is that?
You know what I was thinking about when I was thinking about this story, though? How everyone says that phrase exactly the same way they would say, "I am not a crook." But that's not how he said it at all.
Well, how did he say it?
He said it like, they're going to tell you I'm a crook, but I'm not a crook. That's how he said it.
Oh, wow. So yeah, we all butchered that.
But it makes, you know what it makes you think of?
What?
That episode of Family Guy when they have Santa Claus And he says, everyone's saying it wrong. It's ho, ho, ho. Everyone says, ho, ho, ho. That's not right. Ho, ho, ho. That's all. That just makes me laugh. Okay.
So moving beyond the convention center floor, I know in that area that's also the check-in desk for California Grill, which would be really bizarre if you're going there because California Grill is like on the top floor. But that's where you check in and then they get you to where you need to go. So it's just interesting. But then you get to the main concourse, the Grand Canyon concourse, right? And that's where you'll see the huge mural by Mary Blair that is just absolutely like that style epitomized. Like that's it.
90
so
feet
neat.
tall that thing is.
And that's what you expect when you go into the contemporary. Like that's always, so that's why it's weird when you go in on the first floor. You're like, wait, where's the main big area? But that's where it is. You got to go up. But that's where Chef Mickey's restaurant is, where it's like character breakfast, so cute. Needs a little update. Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
But that's where their quick service is, Contempo Cafe. And then there's rooms, like if you look up, there's the monorail that goes all the way through. I don't think we've mentioned that. If you don't know the Contemporary, the monorail goes straight through the middle. That's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see rooms that open up to that main concourse, which is cool.
Yep. So again, it's an A-frame. So really just the two different sides are the rooms. But yeah, the Grand Canyon concourse, it's so funny because I don't know that we ever don't go there when we're in Disney.
It would be very weird
if we didn't just
to
stop
not waltz over there from Magic Kingdom. Yeah.
Or take the monorail or something because I feel like every time we go, we have to spend some time in there.
We'll usually just go and sit. We'll like fill our resort mug with Sprite and just sit or go to the, what's that bar? Outer Rim
the Outer
bar.
Rim bar. Yep. That looks out over Bay Lake.
Just people watch.
But yeah, it's so fun. And they have a couple gift shops in there. One's Fantasia. They have Bayview Gifts, I think is the one that's actually like attached. Then the Fantasia is the one in the middle.
Oh, nice. Bayview Gifts. You pulled that out of nowhere.
BVG is what it says. They have that little sundry shop in the back that I don't remember what it's called, but it's something.
Concourse Sundries and Spirits.
Okay, so so that was all on kind of one side, but it's interesting because if you ever go up any higher, so when we did it, it was part of our baby moon. So it was 2017, like December of 17. We could look out over, and when you look at the Grand Canyon concourse from above, I personally think that it's in need of somebody to come in with a vision for that space because there's so many different areas and none of them have any consensus. The carpet's all different. They have like, I don't know. I just feel like they need somebody to come in because like over the years they've changed things, they move things, but I don't feel like they have one cohesive vision for that area. So like you have the Contempo Cafe and you kind of walk behind it to get to Chef Mickey's, and we ate there recently and it was in need. The food was fine. We've eaten there
twice recently and
the food was okay. But just even like looking at the walls that just needed a paint job.
And like the windows, you're sitting right next to the windows. And Disney is a very clean place. And those windows are really gross. And I don't think it's like they don't clean them. I think it's that they're so old. So it's just one of those things that something needs to happen because you're paying a lot of money for that. And again, the Contemporary is a pretty popular resort. And that's like their big meal thing there. And
well, they just renovated the rooms and they just renovated the first floor with the Steakhouse 71 and stuff. So I have a feeling that's on the docket to do. Next. But they almost need to go from one end to the other and have one cohesive vision all the way through. And I feel like that Fantasia gift shop, I love it. Don't get me wrong. We always go in there. But I feel like it kind of just was stuck there because they had a big open area and they were like, well, fill it with a gift shop.
I do love that. I think it's cool, though, that it's in the middle. So it's one of those things that they got to keep it.
But then, so that's where you get on the monorail, of course. And again, one of my favorite stories, Cliff Notes version, is Bob Hope came in on, I don't think it was even opening day. Maybe it was like an opening day special they filmed before it. And he came in and he did his tight five and then he left on the monorail. But they had to turn the monorail off because it was too loud while he was talking and they weren't sure if they were going to get it back on. Anyway, so I love that he came in and did his little bit and then went off again.
Off into the sunset.
So anyway, so that's sort of that. So when you're looking at the room types, we're going to be real simple because we got into the weeds a little bit last time. We're going to try and keep it a little bit more simple. 2 views. You have the bay view. You have the theme park view.
So you're either facing, towards the parks or you're facing away.
Yeah.
They're both cool. Like our neighbor and friend he always tells us a story of when he stayed and it was a bay view. But it was so cool because like his kids were a little older and they could go down to the pool and he could literally look down from his room and like see them and have this beautiful bay view. So it, even if you didn't spring for the theme park view, the other view is actually really cool. My recommendation, however, if you can swing doing the main tower. I do feel like there's a very big difference in the feel of where you're staying when you're staying in one of the outer garden view buildings versus the main tower. Obviously, usually the main tower is more expensive, but it really does feel different because when you're in the main tower and you can just like pop out and like walk downstairs and fill your morning coffee there versus being in the garden view and walking outside, there's still something nice about that. We've talked about that in the other resorts too, but it definitely feels different and you're still paying a premium to stay at the Contemporary, you know, already, even if you're doing the garden view. So sometimes it's worth that little bit to upgrade. Yeah,
and I do think though that it's, if I were to stay in those, if you're looking out over the water, that's the way to do it. Because if you're looking at like the internal, you can do like a resort view. I don't love that, but as long as you're looking out on Bay Lake, I think it makes it a little bit better. And you can kind of like sit out there on the patio and watch the boats go by.
And again, those look very 1970s, those buildings.
So good.
So they also have club level rooms. So that usually, this is where the Deluxe is very different from Moderate, because Moderates don't have any. Coronado might. I think Coronado does.
Has club level?
I'm almost positive, but
yes,
again, I don't think they always have.
Yeah,
but,
they do.
Anyway, so that's a big deal because if you, again, way more expensive, but if you're on a club level, you get a concierge lounge, which I did not know about this world of concierge lounges. But in Disney, that means free drinks. That includes wine and beer and cocktails. I don't know about cocktails, but unlimited free wine and beer in the concierge lounge. Food. There's snacks. Food. I mean, like just like good. Typically it's like finger food, but it's good.
Yeah, it is good.
And then I feel like during meal times they have a little bit heavier stuff that you could eat. But I mean, you can fill up there. Like when we've done it in the past at different resorts, we will fill up for breakfast at the lounge, and then we'll get like desserts in the evening. Like it's definitely more expensive, but it is really cool. But you want to make sure you're like getting your
Yeah, exactly. They really shine at breakfast. I feel like that was the best thing because we could just wake up, go down, and get our breakfast, and then hit the ground running, going to the parks and stuff like that. So that's I think one of the biggest benefits. But yeah, if we were there for the day, we'd go and get snacks and get all kinds of stuff. If you do that though, that is definitely a time to not get the dining plan because you can't get your money's worth
otherwise,
for both.
So
and they do have in the garden view rooms, they have a whole plethora of different suites and stuff like that. They have like 1, 2, 3 bedroom suites. They have like a presidential suite. They have like, or maybe not, whatever they call it. They've got like all these different suites over in that area. So if you need something like a 3 bedroom, they do have those, but they're in the garden wing.
So the other piece of the Contemporary you should know about is Bay Lake Tower. So it was a more recent addition. It's technically a Disney Vacation Club resort, but anyone can stay there. So we've stayed there. We loved it. We did a theme park view and we got I think we got it for a song. Like it was a weird deal. Ended up being during a hurricane. That was obviously unintentional, but really cool. So again, same 2 views, theme park versus water view. They both have pools that definitely, I was looking at pictures to make sure I was remembering it right. The Bay Lake, like look at that, Tyler. The Bay Lake pool is way cooler than the regular old Contemporary pool. The Contemporary one is just a classic one. It's got like a short little water slide. It's still fun, but the Bay Lake one has a way cooler water slide. It's just bigger. You can just tell it's newer.
Yeah.
You know, a newer design. But both of them are cool because they're kind of right near each other. They're on the same side, on the bay side. And you're right there and you're looking out over the bay as well while you're swimming. And that is kind of rare. And it's really cool.
Yeah, I do like that. But yeah, they're pretty standard kind of pools. But yeah, I mean, they're still nice though. Don't get me wrong. I've done the water slide at both of them. I know that.
Yeah, you're checking them all off.
Yep.
One by one.
I've done a decent amount of them so far.
So the other thing to know about Bay Lake Tower is that there is a sky walkway. Well, that sounds crazy, but you know what I mean? A walkway that's internal between the tower and Contemporary. And it's like, I don't know, 3 or 4 floors up. So it's really, really convenient because when we stayed there isn't anything at the Bay Lake Tower to eat.
Yeah, we went over to like Contempo Cafe to fill up our resort mugs and stuff like that.
So it's really an extension rooms wise, but you do need to go back into the tower to get everything else.
I do think they have a DVC something there. So if you're a DVC member, like in the top, they have a lounge. But if you're staying there's a Rego, they don't offer that. Yeah. But I don't even know if like all the DVC members get that or if it's just certain things. Anyway, but we had to walk over there, which really wasn't that big of a deal.
It was very pleasant. Yeah, it's
and
right
you know
there.
me, I like my morning walks to go get our coffee. So, okay, so let's talk restaurants. So like we talked about in the bottom, they had Steakhouse 71. And when we ate there this last time, there was a lot of the servers and all that kind of stuff that said they have been at the Contemporary since opening day. And I thought that was so cool.
We got to hear a lot of stories and even talked about like, what was that like icky sticky thing they used to have apparently back in the day that people loved and they no longer serve. Yeah. If any of you guys know what we're talking about, let us know in a comment and explain yourself. No, I'm kidding. But the new version, Steakhouse 71, 71 being the year Disney World opened, it's just got Disney history, Disney World history all around.
Yeah. I wish they had put more photos in the actual area. The food was really good.
It was very good.
But when you're walking in, they've got these amazing pictures of everything being built under construction and all that. But then once you get into the restaurant, I remember thinking like some of the walls seemed really bare, which I guess is sort of a contemporary thing. So maybe that was the reasoning. But I'm like, I want more. I want bigger and I want more.
Bigger, better, badder.
But the food was really good.
It was. I would go back. We did dinner there and I absolutely want to do breakfast there. And usually you can get a reservation for that.
We used to go to the Wave a lot when it was. I think we did. Did we ever do dinner there? Maybe we did. I know we did breakfast a couple times.
Yeah. They had bottomless mimosas.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know if they still do, but they did.
So then moving up to the Grand Canyon Concourse, we've already talked about these a little bit. You got the Outer Rim Bar, which again is nothing to really write home about. It's a pretty standard hotel bar, but I love it because we'll sit there and look out on the lake, and it just makes me very happy. So we've got that. We've got Contempo Cafe, which is their quick service. They've got Chef Mickey's, and then California Grill. Is that it?
Yeah, and to know about California Grill, they have fireworks viewing there. So they pipe the music in. You have a stellar view of the Magic Kingdom fireworks there. But again, you have to time it well if you're wanting to like be eating. So if the fireworks were at 10 and you get there at 9, there is still a chance that someone that's already there isn't moving from their table. They're staying. So we always recommend getting a reservation
at least 2 hours prior.
At least. And it sounds crazy, but really.
But the best part about this one versus some others that have the viewing is that you can still be there and they have an outdoor viewing platform. So even if your table's not ready yet, you can still go, be there. Hope
and it's kind of even cooler outside.
And then you can walk outside and see the fireworks.
But what's cool is if you had a reservation earlier in the day as well, you can still come back. They'll see that you had a reservation. They'll still take you up and let you go out on the outer decker.
Yeah. So yeah, it is very cool. And that is honestly some of the best food.
It's been a while. I think we should.
But that like every time we've had somebody like come for the first time, that's always what we try to get a reservation at because it's like so spectacular. You look out over Magic Kingdom, the food is really good. You've got that cool fireworks view. It's a goodie, a goodie but a greaty.
Goodie but a
used to be
grady.
called Top of the World. That's another conversation.
Yeah, we had a friend that used to be in the show. Well, I mean, like years and years ago.
Yeah,
they used to have it was like Broadway on Top of the World. Or, oh my gosh!
All right, we'll talk about that later. Okay. So, quickly, transportation. This is pretty much the same across the board here. So we have the monorail, obviously, to Magic Kingdom and Epcot, and then buses pretty much everywhere else.
Yeah, and in this, they don't have a boat, do they? Do they?
They have a little marina area, but I think it's for like renting boats and taking them out, like renting a motorboat and going out on the Bay Lake there. I don't think it will take you from there. Although that's not true because sometimes there have been like we'll stop at the Contemporary. Like if we're coming over from Wilderness Lodge, we'll stop at the Contemporary, pick people up, and then go to Magic Kingdom. Maybe the monorail was down or something.
Blue Launch Transport Boat departs from the Contemporary to Wilderness Lodge in Fort Wilderness. Well, what would be the point of that? Would people just come from Wilderness Lodge in Fort Wilderness to Contemporary and then get off to get on the monorail? That seems weird. Cannot get to Magic Kingdom from Contemporary. We just looked it up. I thought, yeah, which just seems weird because it's right there, but there must be a reason.
Just must not be a need for it, I guess.
Well, I mean, when you can literally walk there and monorail, it does seem almost like overkill. But although that would technically be true for Magic Kingdom too. Anyway, I'm sure Disney's got a good reason, but just that walkability to and from Magic Kingdom, especially if you have like a young kid that you would be doing a lot of Magic Kingdom versus the other parks. I mean, it might be worth it.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Disney's Polynesian Village Resort.
All right, everyone get there mentally.
So we've walked. No, we're gonna hop on the monorail. We're not walking. We're gonna hop on the monorail. Going to the TTC. We're now at the Polynesian. Hopping off the monorail. Okay.
All right, we're there. Oh, another opening day hotel.
And it was open, but it wasn't complete. So they didn't finish it until like a month later, something like that. But it was already open. So like out of the 500 rooms or whatever they had, only 100 were ready on opening day, but it's still an opening day hotel.
We're going to consider. The theming is, of course, Polynesian. So you'll hear in like the names of the different buildings. So we're not going to name them all because there's a lot. Tonga, Samoa, Hawaii, Pago Pago, Bora Bora. So all of that area.
Yeah, and they renamed all those at some point too. So they all used to have different names too. So it's a whole confusing mess, but we won't go into that. But what's interesting, people always talk about at the Contemporary, it was a big deal how they fabricated the rooms offsite and then slid them into place. That's a big thing people talk about. They did something very similar at the Polynesian. They were all fabricated offsite, put everything in ready to go, but they weren't slid into place. They were basically stacked on top of each other versus being slid into place. So people just don't talk about that. I don't know why.
Poor Polly.
I don't know. Yeah, it just seems like it's the same thing, but it just doesn't get the love. People are like, whoa.
Polly wants some recognition. And a cracker.
So the really the only thing you need to know is that the Hawaii building is the concierge building, and then the further ones out, maybe try and request a closer room, because that is one of those rooms that when we say that Pago, is that what it's called?
It was one of the far, well, it might have been renamed since we stayed, but it was one of the very far out, like it is, we were overlooking basically the TTC, which is on the far side of the Polynesian.
Yeah, we would walk from our room to the TTC to get on the monorail to then go past the Polynesian. So it didn't feel like we were actually staying there.
Yeah, it really didn't. And we learned a good lesson that trip. That we, again, it was still expensive. I'd rather have spent just a little bit more. And sometimes it's not even that much more to stay closer in. Yeah,
exactly. So they've got, let's see, what else we want to talk about here?
Do you want to talk about the Beatles?
Okay, so I'll link a video below where I go into all the detail. But basically, the Beatles officially broke up at the Polynesian. In the building that is now, I think, Samoa, I think is the one. Wait, is it?
That's what you wrote.
Is it one I wrote down? Okay. In the Samoa building. It used to be called the Hawaii building before they renamed it. But it's when you first walk out, it's like the first building on your right. And one of the first floor rooms, people say they know which one it was. No one really knows which one it was. But it's one of those first floor rooms that, what's his name? John Lennon.
I almost said John Legend, so.
Got the paperwork that officially ended the Beatles. So the other three had already signed. He was there with his girlfriend at the time, and he signed
Was it?
It was not. It was somebody else. What's her name? Oh my gosh.
But everyone said it was Yoko's fault.
Yoko. Yeah, no, it wasn't Yoko. It was somebody else.
What?
But apparently he looked out over Seven Seas Lagoon, and his girlfriend at the time was like, I could see him reliving the last 15 years of his life with the Beatles. And then he signed the papers. So that's where they officially ended.
It's pretty dark stuff. So they have a couple cute gift shops there. There's like the Sundry shop. They have, Moana Mercantile and Boutique. The names are just adorable. It's one of my favorite gift shops. Boutique is. Moana Mercantile is the one that's up.
The Sundry shop.
Yeah, it's got half sundries and then also really cute gift stuff. But Boutique is just very Polynesian and cute.
And all of the actual tikis in there were actually hand carved in Bali. Did you know that?
That you told me earlier today, and that blew my mind, and I can't wait to like go back and actually.
And they're cool once you realize that, because I feel like a lot of people just kind of walk by them, but once you actually like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of them in here, and they're really beautiful.
That's cool. So Polynesian also has a club level. They also have lots of different views, like you could do a theme park view, water view, resort view. They've got bungalows that are thousands and thousands of dollars. Thousands and thousands of dollars, you guys.
When I did my agent training, I got to go and tour one of them, and that's about as close as I think I'll ever get to that, unless there just happens to be some amazing deal. But it was cool to see inside. I mean, there's so many different bedrooms. And
my question is, how are there enough people willing to spend that much money at all times to like have those occupied enough to have made it worth it? You know what I mean?
There's not a ton of them.
True, but even still, 365 days a year.
Are you talking about Disney people?
Yeah, I know.
Disney people spend insane amounts of money. I don't know why you're surprised.
I know. But yeah, so the theme park view, you are a little bit farther than you would have been at like the Contemporary. The theme park view at the Contemporary is real, and Bay Lake is just so cool because you're right there, like Space Mountain's right there. But it's still really cool, and again, you can still see the Magic Kingdom fireworks from there.
Yeah, and so my mom was just there, and she went to Ohana for dinner, maybe Kona Cafe for dinner, whatever it was, and then went outside to the beach to watch the fireworks after the show. It was on a day after dinner. It was one of those days that she didn't go into the parks, but she was still able to watch the nighttime show from the beach.
Get some
there.
Dole Whip from Pineapple Lanai, and then sit on the beach. And the other thing, and actually we didn't mention it for Contemporary, but does Wilderness Lodge? I think they do too. All of these resorts we're mentioning today have views of the electrical water pageant, which is the old school. I would love to do like a whole episode on this. This is like my geeky favorite thing. It's been around since forever, and it is, you can tell, but in the best way. It's like kind of Little Mermaid themed that they, I think, added later. And anyway, it's this weird barge of like lights that they go in front of each resort and do a separate show. So one in front of Grand Floridian, one in front of Poly, etc. And they play this soundtrack. It's maybe like 15 minutes long, and it goes along with the lights that are on these barges, and then it just floats away to the next one. And it is so weird and so awesome. And it's usually, you can see what the different times are, because obviously it's different depending on what resort you're at.
Just toot along.
What's cool is if you walk between the Grand Floridian to the Magic Kingdom, the bridge you go over, if you look to the side of the bridge, they have those barges from the electrical water pageant just parked there.
And for the longest time, that's why they said that they didn't have the walkway from the Grand Floridian to Magic Kingdom. And I'm like, all right, then get rid of that thing, because how nice would it be to be able to walk? Well, they finally put a bridge in, and they can.
I like to think they listen to us.
Now we get it all. We get our cake, and we get to eat it too. So okay, let's talk restaurants again. A lot of restaurants, not as many as Grand Floridian, but still a lot. Yeah,
Grand Floridian does take the cake out of all of the resorts with the most.
Unbelievable, so many. So. My favorite staircase in all of Disney World happens to be when you very first, on the ground floor, when you walk in and you go up and you go to the left, almost to back to where the doors open to go into the courtyard area. Turn left, there's a staircase there. It's my favorite staircase. I don't know why it is, but it is.
It's brown and unassuming, but he loves it.
When it was one of those things that I remember being at work and thinking like, oh, in 2 weeks we're going to be in Disney, and I just can't wait. And I am so excited to be able to walk up that staircase. Like, it just popped in my head. I'm like, I'm going to be in Disney, and that staircase is going to be there.
I love the thought of that. And it's so, you guys are going to die if you ever see it. It's literally a staircase to the bathrooms. Like,
it's like a carpeted 70s looking staircase. It's great.
It's so great.
Anyway, so back, if you follow that around, there's Captain Cook's. That's where the quick service is. And then down that hallway is Trader Sam's Grotto. And we finally got to do that, and it was worth the wait. I loved it.
It's one of those places that the best tip is to put your name in. There will literally be a cast member standing outside the closed door, and at like 2 p.m. I want to say, and I would double check it online, but we're pretty sure it's 2 p.m. You just go and put your name in, and we were like one of 15 people there to put our names in ish.
Yeah.
And then they let you know when you can come in, but it's cool because it doesn't open, I don't think, till like 4 or 5. Yeah. So you put your name in, and then you go do your thing, and then you come back. But it's one that I almost don't want to give away too much, but it is so cool. You do not have to be someone that drinks to go in there. It is so cool. We brought our kids. Like, it's family friendly, I think, before a certain hour. Amazing.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
I don't want to tell too much, because if you don't know, I don't want to ruin anything. Just go.
Yeah, just do it. So then going back to my favorite staircase, you walk upstairs, and there you'll find Ohana, which the first time we did Ohana, I had heard nothing but good things, and I was not a fan, mostly because we ordered like shrimp, and I didn't know that you're supposed to peel the shrimp, and I was eating them, and I didn't realize, and they were gross. And
I didn't realize you were gross, dude.
I was so grossed out by it. And then it was just so meat heavy, and we're not vegetarian, but there's too much meat.
There's such a thing as it's too much meat.
And so I wasn't a huge fan, but we've gone back for breakfast several times, and I have loved it. And I think we did dinner one more time, and it totally redeemed itself.
Yeah, it was much better, and you just avoided the shrimp, huh?
Yeah, I knew what I was getting myself into.
Yeah, they come around and like give you the meat. At least that's how it was then. I wonder if they still do it that way.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But add it to the list. Do it again. But yeah, the character breakfast is very cool. We very recently did that, and you see like Stitch and Lilo and Mickey. I want to say Pluto. It's a really fun one. The food's pretty good. I mean, you get your standard stuff, but then you also get a little flair of like Polynesian type different stuff. I don't know how else to describe it. Yeah, Is that what it's called?
Pog juice.
I thought you said polyjuice, as in like Harry Potter, and I was like, no,
wish.
but that's totally what it should be called.
Is there a restaurant
Polyjuice
Universal
potion?
that serves polyjuice potion?
There's no way they don't. If they're not, I mean, come on.
I'll get somebody on the phone. Okay, so then you leave Ohana. Then it's
Tambu Lounge.
Tambu Lounge.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a little bar out there, and it's a lively bar. Like you'll walk by pretty much any time of day, and you'll see people sitting there,
yeah.
and they've got their
Got
coconuts,
their pineapple drink,
and they're just enjoying life. So that's a fun little one. Then sort of around the corner from there, you have Kona Cafe. Is that open again? I know they were doing some renovations.
Yeah, that's where your mom ate.
Is that where she?
Yeah,
okay.
it was.
So that's reopened.
Get the Tonga toast there if you're there for breakfast, please. You will love it.
I like that. I didn't know.
It's so good.
Then they have a little refreshment thing there. I wrote it down
Oh,
too.
sorry, still on Tonga toast. But if you go to Captain Cook's, they usually have Tonga toast there too, and that's their quick service. So you could totally do it that way.
And if you don't know what that is, it's essentially take a loaf of bread, cut it in half, dip it in eggs, and fry it. That's
But there's
basically-
like banana, I think, in there,
Yeah.
and like it's French toast on steroids and very thick and so good. And there's like sugar all over it. And
so thick.
okay.
So then they have the other little like a quick service coffee bar thing up there too. Is that it? Is that all the restaurants
I
there?
think so. And then Pineapple and they've got, I think, drinks there, but definitely I know like Dole Whip and stuff. And that's cool because there's an outside little window to it. And then again, you can kind of go, they have like a little turf area where kids can crawl around and play and be silly. They have the beach area that is my favorite area
They've got
of the
a
Polynesian.
great pool there.
A really cool pool. And it's like a volcano looking type thing. And they've got a water slide. It's one of those pools that's so themed and so cool. And you really feel like when you're sitting poolside, you feel like you're at a really far away cool resort.
You feel like you're on vacation.
Yeah, it's very vacation-y feel.
With ATA, you're on vacation. So they have another pool, which is sort of around the corner, and I hate this pool.
I
Can't
even
stand
picture
it.
that pool.
I think it's got a 0 entry. It's a big pool. It's very nice. I hate it because
So is it nice?
I was swimming there one time and I had my eyes open underwater like a doof, and I didn't have goggles, and I lost my contacts. And then I couldn't see anything for the rest of the trip. Anyway, lesson learned, I always travel with multiple pairs of contacts now.
I forgot about that.
Ago.
Pool is farther away. I totally
And I literally,
forgot.
I came out of the water. I'm like, I can't see. And then for the rest of the trip, I had my glasses, but like on a roller coaster and stuff like that, I wanted to take them off. And anyway,
That's called the Oasis Pool. Yeah, I forgot. That was back when we were staying basically at the Transportation and Ticket Center.
yeah, that's right.
But the pool, really, the main pool is super cool. That rhymed. Transportation, we already talked about, but monorailing around, I definitely recommend if you're going to Epcot, don't get on the monorail and go all the way around and then go to the TTC, get off and switch. Just walk to the TTC no matter where you're staying at the Polynesian, because then you're taking it directly to Epcot, because you do have to get off and get on one anyway. So
Yeah, we made that mistake. This last time we made that mistake.
yeah,
I was
and,
so
and
mad
there
at
was
us.
like a delay too. So we're like, what are we doing? We were on the monorail for like 20 minutes before we ever got to the TTC to switch to get to the Epcot monorail.
Yeah, we would have been at Epcot like almost 30 minutes earlier if we had just walked to the TTC.
Yeah, so just overall, the fact that we'll talk more about, we're going to be ranking our favorites of these in a bit.
Yeah,
That's all.
Yeah. So same transportation wise.
Yeah.
It's, you can walk to the Magic Kingdom. It's a longer walk, but it's not terrible, and it's still nice in the evenings if your kid's in the stroller and you don't want to wait in the long line after the fireworks.
Even if you don't have kids, it's a nice
just a
stroll if your
pleasant-
legs aren't too tired.
Yeah, it's a pleasant stroll. So it is possible.
Yeah, and then of course they do have a boat to and from the Magic Kingdom.
Yes.
From there, so that's a very pleasant ride as well.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa.
So this was not an opening day resort. A lot of people think that it is because it's sort of one of the flagship. Well, it really is sort of
Kind
the
of is the
flagship
flagship, yeah.
hotel. So a lot of people think that it was opening day, but it actually wasn't. It opened in 1988. So it was quite a while.
1 year older than me, baby. Actually, June. Okay, yeah.
June,
Like half a year older than me.
What was it?
And
June-
we are
June
both
28th.
looking great.
Ooh, we're almost to its anniversary. It's to his birthday.
Very exciting.
So opening day, June 21st, 1988. Do you know who cut?
June 28th, you say.
Is that what I said?
I don't know. No, you say one. You said, what am I saying? You said 21st. Your notes say 28. I don't know what to believe because I just don't know.
May 12th, 1947 it opened. Anyway, do you know who cut the opening day ribbon?
For the Grand Floridian?
Mm-hmm.
Was it the dude that did Sebastian's voice?
No, he did have a
I know.
sing-along song
I already
that I
added it to our notes.
loved. Oh, did you? Oh, I loved that. No?
Who was it?
Mr. Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds? That man? Interesting.
It was Michael Eisner
choice.
and Burt Reynolds. I think he's from Florida, so I think that's why they had him do it. But Mr. Burt Reynolds.
Oh my God.
Of course, I just think about
Blanche Devereaux. So I didn't know this, that it was originally called the Grand Floridian Beach Resort. And in 97, they changed it to Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. Mm-hmm. So they took off Beach Resort, which we're not going to get into it, but obviously the beaches all around are closed, which, so it's interesting that they changed the name back then in 97.
Right. Well, so when Eisner came in as CEO, he basically put into motion a lot of different resorts being built. The Swan and Dolphin, he also okayed the Grand Floridian and Wilderness Lodge basically simultaneously. So both of those were being built, and because there was going to be a resort in this area and then it was changed and whatever. But long story short, he was the one who kind of got this going, and it's based off of, in a lot of ways, Hotel Del Coronado in San Diego, which we've been lucky enough to visit because your brother. And so looking at it, I didn't realize this when we saw the Hotel Del Coronado. I'm like, boy, they ripped off Disney. And I was like, oh, no, that one's like 100 years older.
Yeah, that one's way older.
But anyway, they look very similar. But I just love the architecture and the style of the Grand Floridian.
It's very pretty. Very grand. They nailed that.
I'm just now remembering an awful video from my early days of YouTube, like 2015.
Ooh.
Maybe even 2014. And it's like an overview of the Grand Floridian. I remember looking at it now in my mind's eye. It was awful.
You gotta find it. You gotta.
I think it was like a 2 or 3 minute thing. It was shaky camera work, bad voiceover. It's gonna be great. I'll have to find it.
Baby Tyler. So we were talking about, there was a sing along song. If you ever watched those as a kid, are you a 90s kid too? Mm-hmm. That was filmed there, and there was like, I think the voice of Sebastian. Because Little Mermaid, if this opened in 88, Little Mermaid was 89.
Yeah. So there was a separate one. So the Disney sing along beach whatever. That was one, and that was the one that I remember watching a lot as a kid. Mm-hmm. And then Samuel E. Wright also did one, and that was also there. So there was two different ones, two different sing-alongs.
Well.
Where they had like a stage set up. Oh man, I watched that thing. I had the VCR on repeat.
And that VCR was hot to the touch.
Rewinding.
The rewind. Did you have one of those rewinding machines?
Oh yeah, we did.
Okay, I was like, we did too, and it was the best.
Yep.
I can still hear it rewinding it in my mind. Yeah.
You ever press it again and it would go up faster? It would be like, bzzz. You press it and it goes, bzzz. So when it opened, by the way, Mickey's Birthday Land and the what's it called? The Maelstrom opened at the same time. So they had this big press event at the Grand Floridian to cut the ribbon there, and then these other things were opening too. So
R.I.P. to both of those in Disney World.
Yeah,
man, but the Grand still stands.
She still stands. Yeah, that was. No, that's all. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, again, we could keep talking history. So they have a bunch of gift shops there, and that is one strength for the Grand Floridian. It's I'm not going to say it's like a mall. It's really not, but there are more stores beyond just the classic like Disney gift shops. So they have Basin White, which is one of the Basin line of shops. They have one in I almost said downtown Disney. Wow, in Disney Springs, Basin, bath products, etc., bath bombs. I love it. But they have their gifts and sundries shop. They have M. Mouse Mercantile.
Who's that supposed to be? Is that a reference
Mortimer
to
Mouse, methinks. And then Commander Porter, Summer Lace. Like they have like nice bougier type of like expensive clothing and makeup. Like I bought a Guerlain bronzer there.
I thought I bought you that. Didn't I buy you that?
You might have, but guess what, Tyler? I got the wrong shade. And you know what sucks about that is it was $1 million. But it's that I knew what my shade was. I was just, looking. And I let the cast member talk me out of it. She said, you're going to want the next shade up. And I'm like, no, I try a lot of makeup. Like, I'm pretty sure I know. And she's like, just trust me. I'm like, okay. And then it's way too dark. Way too orange. You needed
a Ron Swanson that.
I know more than
you. So let's talk about the main area there is being renovated right now, or it's not in the process of, but they're going to be renovating that. And I think it's probably time. It really does need it. I mean, I love that lobby. It is my favorite place in Disney outside of the parks to just go and sit and just be there. It's like, I love it. That said, I think it's time for
it just needs something. I remember the first time I ever saw it, I looked at you because you were like, it's amazing, you're gonna love it. And I walked in, I'm like, oh wow, it's really big and grand. But as I'm like looking around, I'm like, but it's like weird.
It's a little worn.
And it's just kind of an odd, like the carpet with the like different furniture and then like the bird cage that really doesn't have a full on storyline. And like, so there's just a lot going on there that I'm like,
Yeah, for me, it's more honestly like the marble flooring around the outside.
Beautiful.
And like it has that grand, and the smell. It smells so good in there. And so I know what you mean. And honestly, I think part of it is the theming where it's supposed to look like a turn of the century hotel. So I think that's probably part of it. If you look at like old pictures of historic hotels. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Sort of all these different sitting areas and these vast spaces with mostly wicker furniture and things like that. So it's very on theme. But now looking at it, I think it's definitely time to raise it to the grand level again.
Yeah, like still keep with the theme, but there's got to be other versions of it they could do that would still fit, but would be a little more cohesive and yeah. So, but I love it too. I'm saying all that, not complaining. You guys, I absolutely love the Grand Floridian.
They've got that big old, like a 10-foot grand piano at least.
And they'll have a pianist in there playing all the time. Yeah. That is truly.
They used to have a band there, and with COVID, they got rid of the band, and I am still sad. I'm sad for me. I'm sad for the band members. I want them to bring those guys back so badly.
And they could be somewhere else. They're using it now as lounge seating, like out lounge seating. And I'm like, put them literally anywhere else. If they redesign it, build an area, because that was some of my favorite things to do there. And now that they don't have it, I'm like,
they are still a band. They apparently perform in, Central Florida. So they're still together as a band. They're just not at the Grand Floridian anymore. I know. They need to bring
right.
I know. You're doing all this other stuff. Easy fix. Easy out.
So another thing to note about the Grand Floridian is that there's a spa there. It's Senses Spa. I've gotten a massage there. I've gotten two at Saratoga.
We had that on our honeymoon.
That's right. Yes, that's when we did it.
Couples massage.
And it's like a separate building you kind of walk out to. I remember it being really nice. That might have been like my first massage ever, which, wow, what an expensive first massage. Yeah, and I remember liking it. I would love to go again now that I'm a connoisseur of massage. I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? Now that I've had a few more, just to kind of see.
That's one of only 3 that I've had was there.
Yeah.
And so that was that one, and then I did just on the Wish this last time. And then I think I did one more in between there. So yeah, basically I know everything about it.
Yeah, you know everything. But it seems nice. I feel like I just don't have enough to say about it. But it's nice to have the option that if you wanted to get a massage, you are on vacation after all.
My favorite part about it was, the massage was great. I don't really remember it all that well. But my favorite part was that you could go out and they had like a hot tub area. They had like heated seats. I remember I brought like a book and I just sat in these heated seats. So like you could, not only do you have the massage, but I think for the day you have access to the steam room and all that kind of stuff.
Like a true good spa.
Yeah. The other ones I've been to have not been like that. So I don't know if that's common or not.
Yeah. Well, the one on the Wish had some other areas, but it wasn't as, that's a story for our Disney Wish thing. I'll talk about this. Okay. Yeah. So, again, you can get a theme park view room here at, what am I saying? At Magic Kingdom. No.
Grand Floridian.
We guys, I'm looking at.
Okay.
Yes, it was my earphones.
All right.
I'm losing it.
Quick, slap me in the face.
You guys.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.
I don't even know how to explain to you guys if you're not watching what just happened. I was trying to look at the time. I gotta do it carefully. Yeah, we meant to do like a 30-minute episode, you guys, and we are an hour in, and we still have a long ways to go. So thank you if you're still with us. Okay.
All right, let's pick up the pace. The problem is not the recording time. I have like meetings all the rest of the week for like the next 4 days. So I'm like, I'm going to have to find little bits of 15-minute time increments
to be able to edit this
over the next 4 days. So we were like, we got to keep it short just for the editing purposes alone. But all right, we're going to be good. Okay, let's pick up the pace. So restaurants. So Citricos, Narcoossee's, Grand Floridian Cafe, Enchanted Rose, Gasparilla Island Grill, 1900 Park Fair, Victorian Albert's, Garden Tea Room, Beaches Pool Bar, Courtyard, Pool Bar. There's a lot of restaurants.
You will not run out. You could just stay there, not go to a park, and be entertained the whole time with food.
Yeah.
Just entertained.
Over the years, we've been really lucky. We've tried them all now. And you know what? I have to say they have all gotten better. They have all just continually gotten better. We did Citricos recently.
That food blew my mind. People don't talk about Citricos enough.
And it's relatively easy to get a reservation there. You can look out over
the resort. Yeah. It's so cool. Like you literally, it's that, if you look up on like the second floor of the main, once you come out of the main building, right there, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
I'm pretty sure it shares a kitchen with Victoria and Albert's. So it's like,
probably,
because they're like right next to each other. Yeah. So you're getting some pretty incredible food. Narcoossee's?
I say Narcoossee's because it's OO.
Okay, so Narcoossee's, that was sort of a hidden gem too. Usually relatively easy. It's its own separate building. We watched the fireworks from the table when we were there.
That's the best tip.
Yeah.
Get a table before the fireworks. It's so much easier to get a table there for fireworks times than it is at California Grill. The view is spectacular. I'm pretty sure they pipe in the music. But either way,
I don't remember.
That I would do again in a heartbeat.
And they just renovated that restaurant too. So it's brand spanking new. Go see it. Go
that's
enjoy
definitely
it.
worth going.
Yeah.
Grand Floridian Cafe, we always joke that it's a glorified Bob Evans because it is, but not in a bad way. It's just good, classic, like if you go for breakfast, classic breakfast food, which is what you want. And at least it's not as expensive as like Citricos and Narcoossee's. So we still like it and go a good amount, but it just feels like a glorified Bob Evans.
Yeah. 1900 Park Fair is a character dining for, at least for breakfast. I think they do.
It's not open yet. So.
They're still not open, but they have this
that might be the last restaurant.
You might be right. They have this amazing old organ up there, which has its own great story, but it's a really, and it plays still. It is a very cool place. And we went with Gigi when she was young, and it was
Mary Poppins,
Alice,
Mad Hatter,
some different characters there too. So,
and it was a buffet then.
Yes, it was.
We'll see what it is eventually.
And then Enchanted Rose.
It's a bar / No, that's pretty much it.
It's just a bar, yeah.
Yeah. You can bring kids in though.
Yeah. So I loved Meisner's Lounge. It was this old 80s bar. There was nothing really special about it, but I just loved it. I loved going in there. Every time we took like your parents or whatever, I'd go in there and have a scotch with your dad or whatever, and I just loved it. Then they changed it into the Enchanted Rose, and it's phenomenal. They did such a good job.
So beautiful.
But now it's a little bit harder to get a reservation. You used to be able to walk into Meisner's Lounge any time of day. No one was ever there.
I feel like we've usually been able to go in though and get a place to sit.
It hasn't been too bad, yeah. But
because you don't like make a reservation there.
Definitely busier, which makes sense. But it's Beauty and the Beast themed, obviously, Enchanted Rose.
But it's classy. It really beautiful. Is classy looking.
Yeah.
So their pools, I'll go quickly. They have their main pool, which, okay, the main like middle of the resort pool is kind of more of like the quiet pool, which is interesting because then off to the side where they built the now maybe not so new Disney Vacation Club area, they have a big kids splash zone with like a Mad Hatter thing that spills out water. Like it's very cool. And then they have a pool over there. And I don't think we've ever actually been in that pool.
No.
I had to look up. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. It's got a big old water slide. So that is definitely worth, I mean, if you're staying there, you're probably going to try out the pools, but that is really nice. But we love going in the main quiet pool because it's huge. It used to be the pool. But it's real quiet. And like at the end of this was pre-kids, at the end of a long day when our feet are tired, we get in the hot tub there. Oh my gosh.
So nice.
So nice.
I really, really quickly want to go back to the restaurants because Gasparilla Island Grill is their quick service there. And you sort of have to go outside to get to it. That is one of the best quick service. The food is good. I mean, the food is, but the fact that you can go outside and you have a great view of the castle, chef's kiss.
Priceless. And you can always find a seat out there.
Oh, any time of day.
Yeah.
So
that is
highly recommend that.
That's one that we've gone out of the park to go there to go grab lunch or whatever and then go back just because you wanted to get away from the hustle and bustle.
Get some AC in the lobby for a little bit.
It's free. You can just go there. Well, I mean, you got to pay for the food, but
Yeah. But yeah, there's the Disney Vacation Club Tower there. There's also a Vacation Club Tower at Polynesian that's being built right now. We should probably mention that. So we won't get into that, but they have villas now. So Bay Lake Tower, Polynesian Villas is being built right now, and there's already one at the Grand Floridian as well. And in
honor of research for the show, it sounds as though we may need to be sure to procure a place at the new Polynesian Tower when it opens.
Research.
It's research, guys.
Guys, this is my job. So
the transportation, obviously, you can walk to the Magic Kingdom. That is new. That is very exciting. That is not a long walk. It's really not. Quite pleasant to and from. And then, of course, you can take the monorail to Magic Kingdom and Epcot. Everywhere else, you're going to do buses. And then they, of course, have the boat to the Magic Kingdom, too.
Yep.
All right. Disney's Wilderness Lodge.
It's so hard to decide which one of these I like the best.
I know. The ranking I could change daily.
Okay, so this one opened in 1994. So not too long after the Grand did. Mm-hmm. Another Eisner project here.
Gosh, that's interesting. If he signed off on Grand and Wilderness at the same time, and then Wilderness. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think so.
And then it was opened so much later.
Well, and there was, we can go into that. There was a whole bunch of resorts that were going to be built around, whatchamajig get there? The Seven Seas Lagoon. That's the one. And so over time, obviously that changed. So that's, anyway, I'll save that for another time. Go ahead.
Yeah. Ow, did you kick me? Also, can I have a sip? He just made some espresso. Let me snag it.
It's very hot.
I can handle it. Oh yeah. So the theming
there for you guys.
The theming of Wilderness Lodge is just that, like the Pacific Northwest vibes, just timber and wood everywhere. But again, it has that really grand lobby, like the Grand Floridian, but totally different. Mm-hmm. This is very much akin to the Grand Californian in Disneyland.
Yes.
Like, freakishly. It's almost like they did it on purpose.
Yeah, so it's based off of all these old lodges, like the Yellowstone Lodge and State Park lodges that used to be the Pacific Northwest and that kind of stuff. These Yellowstone Hotel, I'm pretty sure, is still around, and like all that kind of stuff. So it's all that Pacific Northwest lodge style. And again, this is one of those places that I love, whether we're staying there or not, just to go over and just enjoy the lobby, just because it's so fun. They've got some restaurants right off of it. They've got these huge totem poles which all have their own story, so you have to look up the whole story behind the totem poles. But it's just they've got the big fireplace there, and even though it's 90 degrees outside, 109 degrees outside, it's still just fun to sit there and just enjoy and be. And they've got that little babbling brook there on the side.
Yeah, that babbling brook is so weird to me, and there's like a little ramp you can just walk over it, and there's like no purpose, but I absolutely love it.
But it flows all the way outside to like the pool area.
Yeah, but they do have it separate. I was checking this last time. It babbles out, and then it continues, but then there is an actual stopping point, and then there's the pool. So it is separate, but I love the idea that it looks like it does. Yeah. But the fireplace, it's super tall. Tyler says it's 82 feet high, and no, it's a replica of the south rim of the Grand Canyon. But what was cool is that some of the fossils that are like embedded within the like stratus of the Grand Canyon, like that's what they recreated. They did it so that it's actually like chronologically accurate. Like that fossil would be from that time period, et cetera. And I'm like, well, that's so cool. So I want to look at it again, knowing that.
It's very, very accurate as far as like it's that to scale, the Grand Canyon rim. To scale. It's very like the layers are the same amount of thickness and that kind of stuff.
That had to have been fun.
Yeah. And there's a little hidden Mickey in it.
And it's like weirdly hard to find.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you where it is, but
so
that's the one I always show you, and you're like, I don't see it. I'm like, just trust me, it's there.
I'm like, okay. That's why I say it's hard to find, because I've still never found it. So the rooms there, this is one that has a lot of different kinds, because not only do they just have regular rooms, which are beautiful, but they also have a lot of villas, which we didn't touch a lot on, like villas at the other places. Most of them have different like 1-bedroom villas, 2-bedroom, etc. But this one has kind of two different like families of villas. They have the Copper Creek villas, which were built in 2017. And those we've stayed in, a 1-bedroom villa. It was very beautiful, nice. Very fresh. I mean, it was very recently built. But they also have had for a long time the Boulder Ridge villas. But those were originally called the Wilderness Lodge villas, like the villas at Wilderness Lodge.
Yeah, the villas at Wilderness Lodge, just like the ones are the villas at Grand Floridian. Yeah. And then some of them have names like Bay Lake Tower or now Boulder or Copper Creek. They've got some of them have names, some are just the villas at.
So they became Boulder Ridge Villas, like the name changed in 2000, but they're currently renovating them. But enough of them are done that if you book a room at the Boulder Ridge Villas now at Wilderness Lodge, you will definitely get a renovated room.
Yeah.
And I was looking at pictures of the renovated rooms, and they're beautiful. They're just really, like Copper Creek.
Really
they're different,
nice.
but very, very nice. The flooring, I mean, everything.
Well, think about it. They're almost 25 years old, which is crazy because 2000 doesn't seem like it was that long ago. But 25 years, I mean.
Well, no, they were built.
They were built in 2000, so they're.
That was the year. Okay. Yeah. No, 94 is when Wilderness Lodge. So the villas were built. Because they were called the villas, they changed their name in 2000. So they're even older, is my point.
Oh, I thought they were built in 2000.
No, you told me changed. That's why I typed that in our notes.
Oh, well.
I feel like I'm in trouble for my teacher that, like, you taught us that. It was on the study guide, and that's why I put that, and you're telling me it's wrong?
Somebody look it up and comment below. So,
Either way, they were getting old.
But
for
I
sure.
got to tell you that always has confused me. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Which came first, the boulder or the copper? Because I felt like there's too many names for too many things there. And now they also have these little cabins that come out over the water, much like the Polynesian has the Bora Bora bungalows. Mm-hmm. They have these, and I think they look really cool. I mean, we've never even like walked over to them. You can just kind of see them through the trees as you're going over on the boat. But I think I feel like that's one of those areas. They look like they have like a screened-in porch kind of area. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I think that's one of those areas that you would feel like you are a million miles away if you're actually staying there. So that has got to be.
But you're looking out over the water, like you got to be able to see some of the boats going by.
I would assume so.
They look really cool. Looking at the pictures of the interior, they look really, really nice.
And they're a little bit less expensive than the bungalows typically.
Yeah. Still expensive, but they're certainly less.
Yeah, but that's got to be, at some point we need to do that.
So another thing about Wilderness Lodge is they have some cool dining options. It's not the level of like the sheer amount that like Grand has, but one of their like I think their flagship restaurant is Whispering Canyon Cafe. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those restaurants that you go and it's family style dining, way too much food, but the waiters and waitresses are not like mean to you, but they're goofy.
It's rowdy.
Yeah, they're rowdy. There's antics, right? Like if you ask for ketchup, something happens, I think, still. Yeah. And just all kinds of stuff. Like we brought my parents there and my mom got put in a jail at our table for stealing a fry from someone else's. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that kind of silly stuff.
Yeah, but
which you either love or hate.
Yeah, and they made your dad get up and do I'm a Little Teapot, I'm pretty sure.
I think you also had to get up. It was all the men in the restaurant.
Yeah, and so they have a lot of fun stuff like that. But what's fun is that was a restaurant that was there that wasn't doing super duper well. And Lee Cockrell in his book talks about how like a entry-level cast member, or not an entry-level, but like somebody who worked at the restaurant had this idea, and they told the upper management, and they actually went with it, which I think is really cool. Mm-hmm. It was just a regular cast member's idea to change it into that, and now it's so much more fun. It's so much more lively. It has its own like personality, and I think that's
pretty rare.
Yeah, it made it so much different from all the other restaurants. Because like if Grand Floridian Cafe did something like that, it would totally
you'd want to go. Like we have gone to Wilderness Lodge just to go to Whispering Canyon Cafe. Also, their milkshakes are bottomless.
Bottomless.
And so good. We never even like finished one.
They're so good, though.
They're so good.
Yeah. And they were talking about pulling back on that. Like pulling back on the antics and stuff like that. And basically the crowds rioted. And they were like, no, we're going to this restaurant for one specific reason. And it's because it's fun. And it's not like Ed DeBevick's or any of those like
they're not like straight up mean. Yeah.
But they're just like, they have fun stuff to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, why would you?
Didn't we once go and we had a card that we could flip? Like if you wanted to be messed around with or not. I feel like that was maybe it was somewhere else. That would be genius. Because if it's just like we've gone just the two of us and we're like, it's fun, but also like, eh. But when we're with like kids or with other family, it's way more fun. Anyway, well, wherever it was, that was a genius idea.
I remember doing that, but I mean, you might be thinking of a Brazilian steakhouse where it's more meat or less meat.
And you do the red or green. Yeah, you might be right. Maybe I had the genius idea like, hey, they should do this at places like.
It's like a haunted house. Like you can wear the one thing like, scare me extra.
Or the one thing that's like, please just don't scare me. I don't even know why I'm here.
I'm here because my friends are jerks.
Scare me extra. I won't pee my pants.
Okay, so the villas are really nice. So
babe, we're on dining.
Oh, see, I don't even know, man.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm going on so little sleep and so much espresso.
I know. Hey, hand me that bag. You asked me if I wanted any, and I said no, and I clearly have changed my mind. Okay, storybook dining at Artist Point.
Yes.
We've never done, it's new. I mean, this version of Artist Point is new, but we've not done, and you meet Snow White and the Evil Queen.
Things. Yeah.
Yeah. So that might need to be on it's been on our, like, I was going to say bingo card, on our list for a while, but when we go, like, the timing of finding a reservation has never worked.
Or we found one and then we're like, well, we're not going to leave Magic Kingdom now, or something like that. Yeah. Like, it's just never been the right time. You would
love it.
Yeah. We need to make that a point, though. When we were there with your brother and our sister-in-law, our rooms, like, they were in between, like, a post, and you could look down and you could see storybook dining below.
That was cool. But it's a prefix menu. I didn't realize that. So similar to like Be Our Guest, where it's pricey, you are getting obviously character meet and greets. I know you meet, like I said, Snow White, Evil Queen, Dopey, and I think maybe one of the other dwarves. But yeah, it's a prefix menu. So it's expensive, but you're getting like the appetizer, your entree, whatever, dessert, etc., all kind of under one price.
I'm right tired of these prefix menus.
I don't mind them so much. So it's funny.
I'm ready to be back to to the normal menus.
Well, but they did prefix menus pre...
Did they?
Yeah. That was like a thing.
Well, no, but it was just much less prevalent.
Yeah, that might be true. Another place that's really cool is Geyser Point Bar and Grill. We've not actually like had the time to like sit, but we've kind of walked through it and stuff. Because it's cool. It's right there on the water. It's not far. Isn't the pool kind of behind? Or maybe it's a little... Yeah,
it's like the main courtyard area. It's sort of at the end of that courtyard area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I want to say, didn't it have like fire tables too? Like, you know.
One of those like very like, it just, again.
It's like a cool bar and grill. Like I wish we had one near us that we could go to. Like
anywhere
in our hometown.
that would be a cool bar.
Yeah. That was a good way to describe it. And then go ahead.
I said they have a couple like pools, and like one's on the one side and one's on this side, but it's almost like right in the middle of the two pools, isn't it?
I don't remember that, but I know that the other pool is like their quiet, if you will, pool.
Yeah.
I don't even know that I've ever laid eyes on it.
No, we did. We swam there when we stayed at Copper Creek with my mom. We took Gigi in and...
I was thinking that was a totally different resort in my mind. Yeah, you're right. With the 0 entry area. And then there's the main pool. And it might have been under construction when we were there.
Was, yeah.
Now it's open and looking awesome. And
if you stay there, you can do... They have so many different room types here. I'm not even going to go into them because there's a million different views, a million different types of rooms. But I love the courtyard view rooms where you look out over the pool area. You look out, you're looking at Bay Lake. You got this just amazing view.
It's almost like a, not 360, but like 270-degree view.
Yeah.
Because you're getting to see so many different things because I just love this resort so much.
I do too.
But to speak on that, or to finish up dining, Roaring Fork is their quick service. This got second place most interesting menu. When I always go through the quick service menus for you guys to let you know. So the number one best quick service when it came to like range of different options of food went to Polynesian, because they had like the normal classic stuff like burgers, flatbreads, but they also had like some interesting other items. And this was second place, the quick service at Wilderness Lodge, with like interesting items. All of them are good. And again, the food quality is similar, but just when it comes to like different options.
Good to know.
So they have basically just one big shop there that's like their gift shop and sundry shop all in one. And one of my favorite things about it is there's this gorgeous totem. And I have one here if you're watching that I finally got. Tyler got me for Christmas, I want to say. And you had to like look on eBay or somewhere crazy to find it. And I love it so much. And this is just a replica of that. And it's got Mickey on the top, then Goofy, Donald, and then just the bear. There's a name for this bear.
Humphrey the Bear.
Humphrey the Bear.
I'll link a vlog below. I'm not going to go into it now. There's a whole big story. I talked for about 5 minutes about Humphrey the Bear in another video. I'll try and find that one too.
If you're dying to know about Humphrey the Bear. But it's just a cute shop. There's nothing to write home, but I just love the totem outside of it. We always get pictures in front of it. So that makes me so happy.
Well, my mom had that totem and you wanted it. And I was like, well, I'll just see if I can find you one. So I looked and found it on eBay, got it for Christmas or whatever. And then like 3 or 4 months later, my mom was like, hey, I think I'm going to get rid of this. Do you want it? I'm like, Mom, I just bought one.
Did you say, yes, we'll take it. We'll just have two.
Like bookends. Oh, hindsight. Oh, that was a while ago.
Just have one here, one at the workspace, really.
There you go.
I need a totem everywhere. Mickey totem.
Okay, so we ready to do our rankings. Oh, let's transportation. So boats to Magic Kingdom, buses everywhere else.
Yeah, so that's actually worth talking about for 10 seconds. No monorail here. So if you didn't know that, it's important to know. It is buses all the way through, other than a boat to Magic Kingdom. So, this is one of my favorite resorts, but that does affect some rankings because you're paying still a very high premium.
Yeah.
And you're not getting the monorail, and you can't walk to the resorts either.
Yeah,
so
it's close to the Magic Kingdom.
So close, but not like that.
Yeah. That's why it's in this list here of the ones we're doing today. But yeah, it's just a little bit.
And by the way, if you didn't know, it's also right next door to Fort Wilderness. So not like you could walk there. No, there is a walkway. But beyond just this walkway, which I want to say we tried to run on and it was going under construction because that was back when they were going to build the resort.
Reflection.
Yeah. And then that got pulled. So crazy.
Yeah, I've got some construction footage of that. And I was like, oh, here's this new resort. It's going to be built. And then
I hope they bring it. I would love a new resort there.
I want to get into this too, but I'm not. So there was supposed to be like Fort Wilderness, where there was originally going to be a resort there, and it was going to be like Fort Wilderness, and then it was going to be like, 100 years in the future, and then 100 years in the future. So like it was sort of it had a whole storyline and all that kind of stuff.
Wasn't it going to be like a Western? Like I'm talking decades ago,
right?
Not
Exactly.
this most recent iteration.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about originally. So anyway, they were finally going to build something there, and then they pulled it. But anyway, okay. So let's do our rankings, and then we're going to get into some listener feedback.
Okay. We starting at the bottom?
Mm-hmm. Now we're
Do
here.
we want to go back and forth? Or just all in
just
one?
go.
Okay. So my number 4, Bay Lake Tower / Contemporary. And really, the walkability was like the biggest thing. Like the fact that you can walk, it's so quick. And the fact that the monorail's right there, it's just fun and nostalgic. But the other 3, I like just a bit better. It just, again, it's kind of stale. I feel like.
Well, one thing that we didn't talk about was the Incredible themed rooms. Mm-hmm. So they have renovated the rooms and they're now Incredible themed. I think they look really cool, but you said you didn't like them.
No, they look cool and it needed a refresh. So I'm happy about that. But to me, I don't know. There's just something, there's some kind of disconnect there that doesn't make sense to me. And they did a really good job of making it tasteful, where like you really only see like little bits of stuff. Like in the closet, when you open it, you can see like just painted on there, like the Incredible suits hanging.
Yeah.
But that made it feel more like a value resort. And you know I love a value resort and I love that cheesiness. But I just wonder how people that are staying, and again, it's expensive. It feels very different for a deluxe resort.
But they're doing the same thing at like the Polynesian. They've brought Moana in at the Riviera. They've brought like
rooms?
Mickey Mouse in to the, like when you pull down the beds and stuff like that. So they're bringing
that's a good
some
point.
of the IP into the other deluxe resorts.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been able to pinpoint what it is, but I am glad that they did refresh it. So I think it needed it. So that was a good.
Did we talk about the Grand Floridian rooms too? They're renovating those, and the new rooms are so nice. It was one of those things where I started to recommend the Riviera over the Grand Floridian a lot of times because the rooms were so nice at the Riviera. Well, now they've started doing it at the Grand Floridian, so now I'm back to the Grand Floridian.
I still love the Riviera though. That would be hard if we had all the deluxe and had to rank them. Like throwing Riviera into this, it would just throw me for a tizzy.
All right, go ahead.
So number 3 then, Wilderness Lodge. It might be my favorite, but I had to knock it down because the transportation. That's it. I mean, I can't walk to the resorts, and that's why I'm like, again, I would pay more to be able to. So that was it. But I love it. I love the vibe. Love the villas there too. Number 2, Grand Floridian. Love the walkability. Obviously, it's just like the most grand place. But I feel like the lobby is not nearly as cool as the Poly. I like the theming of the Poly better. So now you know my number 1, Polynesian.
Process of deduction there.
And here's the thing about the Polynesian. Another reason it's number 1. I just feel like the vibe there is so, like you said, you feel like you're on vacation at the Polynesian. It feels like you are a million miles away. The fact that you can see the fireworks and you can see them from the Grand, but it's not the same. Like people at the Grand would be standing, once we had a theme park view, and do you remember people were literally standing in the grass watching it, like right along the water, and it wasn't a place to stand, but like just to be able to see them. So I just feel like the Poly is set up for that, like just being out there, being on the sand, seeing that. They have like swings out there. I just love the Polynesian. It's my number 1.
Wow.
And you can just walk to the TTC and go straight to Epcot.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas, with at least Grand, you have to get on and go around.
Well, the good news is there are no wrong answers here. So
Exactly.
Okay, so my number 4 was also Contemporary, same as you. My number 3 was Polynesian. So mine was pretty far down.
Wow.
And I just thinking about theming alone. My number 2 was Wilderness Lodge. And I was theming alone, not counting the fact that one is closer and all that stuff. I'm like, I just like I would sit and relax in the lobby of the Wilderness Lodge, but we don't really do that at the Polynesian. Like we don't just sit in the lobby at the Polynesian.
You know what's funny? I can't picture us sitting in the lobby of the Wilderness Lodge.
Really? We've done it several times.
I know, but it's usually like waiting on a
restaurant reservation or something like that, or yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I can picture us sitting in the Poly. Well,
interesting. And then my number 1 is Grand Floridian. And I don't really have a great reason for it other than I just love it. And I don't need to explain myself to you.
That's right. Yeah, you don't. I mean, we've explained ourselves in this entire episode.
Yeah, that's true, for approximately an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So let's dive into...
Yes, listener feedback.
Yes. So we asked a twofold thing on our Instagram, which again is at Disneyville Podcast, if you want to join in next time. So we asked what questions you have about these 4 resorts, and then also what memories, experiences, just whatever you want to share about them. So Blossom Girl 08 said, I love watching Electric Parade from Geyser Point Restaurant.
Oh, we've got to do that.
I know. I'm like, we genuinely need to make a list, like at each of these places, what we want to try. Mm-hmm. What a great idea. I never would have thought about that. Get yourself all set up. Get your kids there.
Yeah.
And then wait. Because, again, you can look up the time or just ask a cast member at your hotel what time the pageant, like your water pageant's there.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
That's happening.
Yeah.
That's happening.
I love that. Jordan makes magic, and Jordan does make magic because she's an agent with People Mover Travel. So
Tyler's Travel Agency, link below.
So Jordan Makes Magic said, what would your monorail bar crawl look like? Okay, so what are the rules? One per?
Yeah, I mean, that would be,
okay.
right?
So leaving from Magic Kingdom, I'm going to go to Contemporary.
Yeah. You got to go to Outer Rim.
It's going to be Outer Rim. And I'm going to try and get a seat next to the window to look out over. Like, because you can move a little bit further in. I'm going to move further out, closer to the window.
I'm going to do that, but I'm going to go to Outer Rim, sit with you. But I'm going to go get a snack from Contempo Cafe to eat.
Okay, cool.
I don't know what snack, but I'm going to get a snack there. Probably
so
fries.
Then let's just fly over to Wilderness Lodge. What are you doing there?
Well, now I want to go to Geyser Point and watch the electrical wall. I'm assuming we're doing this in the evening.
Yeah.
And have a drink out there.
Yeah, that was going to be mine as well.
I want to get something like cold and frozen there. Because you'd be like kind of outside.
Yeah.
Whereas the other ones might be inside.
True.
Okay.
So then we're going to
go over to the Poly.
Fly over to Poly.
I know what I'm doing at the Poly. One of the pineapple frou-frou fun drinks at Tambu Lounge, outside of...
The Lapu Lapu? Isn't that
probably.
What
we might need to share the Lapu Lapu.
Yeah.
We've made homemade Lapu Lapus, by the way, and they're very good.
Really good. Yeah, especially after having the first two already. We're going to share the third one.
Yeah.
Okay, so then from there we're monorailing over to Grand Floridian.
Now we got some options.
Wait, hold on. Go back.
Yeah.
I'm going to Trader Sam's Grotto.
What are we talking about? Yeah.
Don't hit me.
I want... Don't hold my hand. But Tambu Lounge is so fun too. But you're right. I mean, come on, Grotto. But you had to put your name in earlier. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah, you gotta know somebody on the inside.
But then we go over to Grand and go to Enchanted Rose.
Obviously. Yep.
I might get a water there. Just rally.
And then I'm gonna sleep on the sidewalk there.
Yeah, and that's it. Well, hopefully we just be sleeping there. That's where we're staying. That would be the vibe.
Yeah.
Megan Ryman said, every time I walk through the Grand Flow lobby, I think of the one episode from Full House where John Stamos' character is playing piano. A few comments of people saying, I just keep expecting to walk in and seeing John Stamos play piano.
And didn't Uncle Joey try to ride all the rides in one day or something like that?
We need to rewatch that episode. Ugh.
I love those episodes. There's a Blackish, there's the middle, Full House, there's all
Modern Family.
Modern Family. That was Disneyland. But I love the Disney Parks episodes of
Brady Bunch.
That's right. I thought that was Kings Island.
It was Kings Island. Oh my gosh, how weird.
Right?
Okay.
Anyway, okay. Abby McGee said, if you stay close to the TTC at the Poly, I feel like no one talks about how loud the boat horn is. Oh, from going over the big ferries.
And we were staying there. I don't remember it.
I don't either.
But I could see that being an issue. Like if you're right there, that boat... The ferry,
the Admiral Joe Fowler,
and it would start kind of early, like when parks opening. Like people are getting there pre-park opening. So
yep.
Okay, Jessica Peterson 92 asked, favorite sit-down restaurant on the resort loop?
California Grill.
Oh yeah, you know what's a close? There's so many. Citrico's. I can't get over how good that food was. But then Narcoossee's a fireworks view. But I think it might be California Grill. But then also Ohana, you can see fireworks from there too. It's too hard, you guys. Because you're shrimp meat sweats.
I think I still have to say California Grill.
Yeah, it's so cool. We need to go back.
But Citrico's would be a very, very close second. The one out of all these restaurants, I'm pretty sure the only one we haven't done is Victoria and Albert's. We
didn't mention that earlier.
We need to make it a point to do that at some point in our lives.
Mm-hmm. Just so expensive. Okay.
Miranda Cadiz just booked Wilderness Lodge for February. Is Whispering Canyon worth the antics? I think so. Kind of like what we talked about. I think it's so fun. It's a very enjoyable.
Yeah, and I think they can kind of read your response and they're good at that. They're used to doing this every day. So if you're obviously not super into it, they'll probably ease up and just kind of you know. We've definitely had both experiences.
There was one time where a guy was like, I was like, can I get some ketchup? And he's like, do you want me to do the whole ketchup thing? And I was like, no, don't. Just give me a little ketchup. He's like, all right, cool.
And that was when it was just the two of us. Yeah. So, yeah, I think... Okay, this was such an interesting question. Scar Qualls said, which is faster to Magic Kingdom and Epcot? Contemporary. Because you can walk to the Magic Kingdom, or you can get right on the monorail to go to the TTC and then...
Or, yeah, so that...
Because if you did Polynesian, you're close to the TTC, but...
You're further from the Magic Kingdom.
So I think if you really were worried about travel time to both of those parks, Contemporary is definitely the answer.
Yeah, I think you're right. So we always like to do a review on Apple Podcasts because that's where we can get actual worded reviews, and it means a lot to us if you guys ever go and rate us on Apple Podcasts or anywhere. It means a lot. So we're gonna read one from Dominic906. It says, nostalgia and good feels. If you want to be whisked away to Disney, this podcast will deliver. I've been to Disney World 3 times, and each time was a blast. When I can't go to Disney, this fills the void. The hosts, Tyler and Jessica, are just lovely. They are filled to the brim with their knowledge and love for Disney. If you're reading this review, listen to their podcast. You will love it. It's clear that this is a passion for them, and I'm so glad they were able to make this podcast happen.
Oh my gosh, that was a really nice one. Thank you. Blush. My goodness. So yeah, it means a lot to us. We love reading through those because this is just a passion of ours, and
it's a real passion project.
It's a real passion, but it really is. I mean, obviously we love Disney and we vlog it, and that's just a part of our world, but this is something we've always wanted to do.
I was talking with someone the other day, and she gave me basically like the best compliment, I feel like, because she said that she was a cast member, and she said that she likes listening to our podcast because it makes her remember why she fell in love with Disney in the first place. And I feel like that's exactly what you and I talked about from the very beginning. We're like, we want to go back to basics. Like, so many people get into the nitty gritty of news and all that kind of stuff, and that's fun. And we'll probably get into more of that eventually. We'll see. But it's like the stuff that, like, okay, this is why I fell in love with Disney when we started going 10 years ago. Like, this is it's just like, that's the kind of stuff I want to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want to talk about. That's what we want to dwell on. So
the fact that she brought that up, it was just a very big compliment.
That's a very nice compliment.
Meant a lot. So anyway, all right. Well, we'll call it there. We'll talk about way too many next time. So go ahead and block
You thought this one was long.
3 hours on your calendar for that one.
It's an entire week of commutes for something.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So anyway,
Jessica.
Thank you all for listening and or watching, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye, guys.